What's up, guys? Richard with the Shopping Cart Mafia YouTube and podcast. You need to find that podcast if you haven't. Anyway, so right now, guys, I have a 2015 Ram 2500. Go Niners, even though we lost to the Chiefs. Anyway, 2015 Ram 2500, running 35s on it. Currently, the truck's got 56,000 miles. I've had zero EGR problems. I'm really looking to gain some miles per gallon. Right now I'm averaging about 13 to 14, and I think I can do better. Hoping to be in the 19 to 20 range after I delete it. So I have the GDP delete kit. I have the Easy Link with CTT tuning, and I'm just gonna put in a piece of straight pipe. So we'll see how this thing runs and see if I can gain some more miles per gallon. So, all right, let's see if we can get this done. All right, guys, we're ready to get started. So first thing we want to do is we want to remove the 4 8mm bolts, remove your engine oil dipstick, and that'll allow you access. You get rid of this shroud, it'll allow you access to the EGR cooler. You'll pull all of this off right here. This will allow you access to your EGR valve. So we'll pull all this off, and I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll get going. Okay, guys, so this is what it looks like once you got the cover removed. So next thing you want to do is you want to remove this connector pipe from the EGR valve over to the cooler. Pretty simple. It's 2 11mm bolts on these little clamps here. So it shouldn't be a big deal. We'll get that off there. We'll get the EGR valve off. We'll start working on this side. I will tell you from watching other videos, the passenger side is a bitch. So we'll work through that. Anyway, so this is what the clamp looks like that goes right here. I wanna show you guys something that kind of makes this a little easier. So this one I haven't got off yet, but if you just squeeze this, you don't have to remove the nut all the way off, right? You can just kind of loosen it up, but give yourself some room and then just squeeze this. And when you squeeze that, you can just pop it right over like that. You don't have to run that nut all the way off. Just a little tip. All right, guys, so once you got the clamps removed, you still got this clamp in the middle. So if you actually pull this up, kind of out of the way, you can actually see right there is an 8mm bolt. You actually, so what I've got is a 6-inch extension, swivel, 8mm socket, which did allow me to get to that and loosen it. So once you get that off, you can get this out of the way. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and anytime you see a clip like this, that means you push that up and then squeeze that and you can pull that clip right out. We'll take off the intake from here down to the turbo, which will allow us access to the cooler a little better, and we'll start working that way. Okay, so this is your EGR cooler. We've got it disconnected. This was your connection for the cooler. This was your connection for the pipe that went right here. So this is connected, disconnected. There was 4 10mm bolts. Give this thing just a tap, and it'll pop right off. So I want you guys to see, there's been several videos about EGRs, right? But if you look, they say, you know, this is the stuff that you're pumping into your engine. I mean, you're correct, right? You are pumping that back into the exhaust. So the EGR stands for exhaust gas recirculation valve. But the thing is with an EGR valve is these are doing what they're designed to do. This is not a new technology. They've been around for years. This stuff is cleanable. You have your 67,500 service on this truck, and they actually clean the EGR valve, clean the cooler. Waste of money when you can just throw it away, but just wanted you guys to know that. All right, so the EGR valve's off. We have our brand new blocker plate. I've installed the O-rings, so it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Bolt it down right, set it down right there, and install the supplied cap screws, Allen head cap screws. And this puppy will be complete on this side. This side, obviously, like I said earlier, is the simple side. The other side's gonna be the fun part. May have to have a couple beers. I think that's really with any mechanic work though. All right, guys, so this heat shield needs to go. So there's 2 10mm nuts to remove this thing. And it just, once you've got those loose, they'll pull right off. Take these off, get rid of them, because you're gonna have to remove this. right there, you can see one 8mm bolt. There's one on the other side that's hidden that will remove this heat shield. So to get this heat shield off again, 10mm nut, two 10mm or 8mm bolts. So one thing I want you guys to see is you can see down in there the nut, the flathead screw for the band clamp for the turbo. You can pull it off with a long screwdriver. You still have to disconnect this hose right here, and that'll actually pull off. So I meant to show you that earlier. All right guys, so next up, we're going to remove the 4 bolts that hold this part of the front plate on. Then we're gonna remove the 4 bolts that hold the servo on. We'll get all that removed and we'll come back. Got the servo out of the way now. Like I said, there was 2 10mm bolts here, 2 on the back side that was able to just slide right off, and it is attached to that little front plate. So now what we got to do is we have to remove these 2 15mm bolts or nuts and this little V-band, 11mm V-band. Pull this off, then we'll be able to go ahead and install our blocker plate. So when I come back, we'll have that blocker plate installed already. All right, dudes, I'd like to think that I got a lot of tools and my mechanical aptitude is there, but that little 15mm nut is a bastard to get to. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just remove my coolant lines, just get everything out of the way, and I'll just take the cooler out. And once the cooler's out, I'll have access to that bolt. I work with a lot of engineers, and this is the kind of shit they do, man. So yeah, we're gonna just proceed, carry on. You guys know that anytime you're mechanicking, it ain't always gonna go your way. Prime example. All right, guys, so one thing, did have to remove this from the EGR cooler, that's coolant. When I broke this connection right here, I did spew coolant everywhere, and I kind of knew that was gonna happen just from, I didn't bleed the coolant system. There was no drain that I saw underneath the radiator on the driver's side of the pickup as we were told. So anyway, next steps are going to be remove the brackets from the cooler, and there's 2 bolts at the very back. You can't see them, they're hidden. I'm gonna remove those bolts and I'll see if I can get the cooler out, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so I'm glad I did this video because this is different than what I'd seen in other videos. So what held on my cooler on my 2015 was these 4 10mm bolts. This one had a 10mm nut on the top for the transmission dipstick bracket. Then when you take that off, then you can actually get to the other one. 2 15mm nuts in the back, and that was it. That thing came right off. Now, let's go back and look in the truck. So if you look in the truck, you can see back there at the back, the 2 studs. Now that actually wasn't that bad. There was plenty of room to get back to that. That wasn't a big deal. So this thing here, your bracket, there's 2 13mm bolts underneath this thing. You can actually see them right here and right there, which bolts to the engine. That'll pull off, and that'll actually give you room to get to this last 15mm bolt right there. Then all we'll have left to do is put on the 2 blocker plates and then button this thing up. All right, guys, so you can see, installed the blocker plate here, the blocker plate in the back, and you see the center part, that's a little piece of Teflon tape I wrapped around that little Allen plug. Got those tight. So the next thing I did is right here, I removed this 14mm bolt, and then I installed this new adapter. Then, with the new O-ring. Then this adapter, this bracket here comes with the kit. This little bolt goes right into your adapter, and then you put this 14mm back on, you're good to go. Next thing is, you want to replace that with this. So we'll swap that out and we'll get to hooking things back up. All right, guys, one thing I want to add to this video that kind of a little disappointed with GDP and their directions, but this bracket here, there's no instructions for it in the kit. It shows it's in there, but doesn't show how it goes. So I want to show you real quick. You basically remove this 15mm exhaust bolt nut, actually. You install this adapter, okay? You go up here to your transmission dipstick, install that gold 10mm header bolt. Come right here on your coolant adapter, install this bolt, which was not supplied long enough. Then, right here, it's hard to see, this bolt goes in that adapter piece, that spacer. Then, this little doohickey is here. The bracket goes right there, bolts in. Simple as that. Definitely had to have a beer for all this shit. But ultimately it went well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up putting the intake back on. I'm going to pop this out. I'm gonna fill the coolant until this thing starts bleeding, bubbling up constantly. Pop that back in, tighten it up, top off the coolant, and we're done. So all in all, I'll have about 3.5 to 4 hours in this. Everything I've heard says it's about 4 hours. So anyway, we'll see what it looks like when it's done. All right, guys, I got it wrapped up, got everything finished up. I did put as you can see, I put the cover back on. The back two are just kind of hanging. There's no bolts there anymore, so really not a problem though. If it starts rattling, I'll do something about it. Everything went really good, honestly. So I got about 3.5 hours in it, like I said. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. So I'm gonna put the easy link on and do my exhaust. I'll make another video on that. But all in all, it was pretty straightforward for my first time. Kind of wish that the directions were a little bit better, but that's how it goes. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.